Ratbat eject, Operation Extortion. So today we're going to be taking a look at some of the least financially sound offerings of the Transformers line for the past couple of years, the Fall of Cybertron Datadiscs. Basically, the only reason these little guys exist is to be ammo for the gun that is this Soundwave's chest. It's all just gimmick-based, accessory, add-on, all that sort of guff, and I know exactly the sort of toys that these are when they go with a bigger one like this, but I find it really hard to sort of find the words to describe that. I think ammo is the best way. This is the Fall of Cybertron Voyager Soundwave, or you could have got it as Sound Blaster, or you could have got it as Blaster. And yeah, if his arm actually works, you can open up his chest, and yes, he comes with Laserbeak, which is like your starter data disc. And then, of course, you know, these guys came out, and you can buy loads more to cram in there. But certainly the weird thing over here was, which is why they sort of felt so extortionate for quite a while, was that these came out a long time before Soundwave actually hit. Over here in the UK, Generations figures are Toys R Us exclusive, and for a very long while all I could find in the way of Generations figures in there were these Datadisc guys. Certainly no Soundwave seemed to go inside until a good year after these first hit the shelves, which probably explains why they were pretty heavily overstocked and ended up in B&M bargains for like £4, which is what I would be very, very happy to pay for these, considering they are up here at £12.99. What? I'm not kidding. These two here, back in the December of 2012 or whenever it was, would have cost you £12.99. Two tiny Legends sort of scale figures and two empty purple cases to keep them in cost you the same as one of these. There's a bit of an impromptu size comparison for you. Yeah, they are, you know, sort of knee height to a proper deluxe figure. And I guess actually stacking them up like that, maybe Sideswipe wasn't the best choice. Stacking them up like that, yeah, maybe they don't seem quite so bad, you know. You're getting two figures, you're getting some extras. Maybe it could be worth the same price as one of these. Topspin's also a bad example because he's not £12.99 anyway, is he? Anyway, enough of all that sort of thing. I just can't hammer home the point enough that this is not worth £12.99 to anyone, anywhere in the world, at any time. It is just stupid, and why Toys R Us, or should I say, why Hasbro, why would you even expect that much money for these? And I'm very, sort of, hopefully, mildly in-depthly, going to show you why that's the case. Right, let's start at the beginning. This was the first set of data discs I picked up, and I thank God I didn't pay £12.99 for these. I got Frenzy, and Ratbat here off of Kapow for about, I think they were about £6 at the time. There was a sale on. And yeah, I'm just going to quickly go through what you actually get in a set of these. You get a humanoid bloke. There does seem to be a humanoid one in every set. And then an animal-y bloke. And you get these two little plastic cases to keep them in. The Decepticon ones are purple and have Decepticon symbols on. There are Autobot versions, and I'll show you those later. It's basically, one of my friends described it as a toilet seat for a Transformer. Yeah, open that up, compress one of these into their disc mode, and it basically just gives you somewhere to keep them without them popping open in a box somewhere. Which is kind of cool, you know, harkens back to the old cassettes and cassette cases, I guess. But it just sort of feels like, why? There's not really much point, but at least it's something. It just sort of means that you have to be a bit more imaginative as to what these could possibly be when you're actually playing with the figures. Maybe they're energon cubes, maybe they're miniature space bridges, I don't know. But they're rather good at letting you display the figures that don't actually have any legs, like Ratbat. So I guess there's an upside there. Continuing with more of a general overview, a look of these little guys, here is why they basically exist only to serve Soundwave, as it were. Soundwave's big gimmick is that his chest flips open and you can cram these discs inside him, like the old cassettes, and they're meant to fire out of him. You can fit 3 of them in there at once, which pushes this massive plunger on his back way further than it probably should go. In a way, I think it's kind of cool Of course, they couldn't have made them cassettes these days because no kids know what cassettes are. And, you know, it's all Cybertronian, so discs are okay. They've got all these techie patterns on the front of them. Each of them has a sort of mildly different pattern, which I think is cool. It's not just the same paint app on them in different colours or whatever. But yeah, they are made to live inside Soundwave and be fired out of his chest cavity and hopefully then spring-loadedly transform. Let's try and demonstrate that. Come on. Come on now. Maybe we ought to get some butter. Out you come. Out you come. Come out. Yeah, like that. Yes, his chest can fit 3 in, but that is not a reason to put 3 of them in there. I think it's safe to say that that gimmick is a failure. Not only is it incredibly difficult to actually pop these things out of his chest, 9 times out of 10, well, no, don't do that, they don't auto-convert as soon as they come out and hit something. Basically, the switch to change them is right in the centre on the other side. So unless they land perfectly like that, on a hard enough surface to trigger that, then you're just going to spew out some multicoloured Oreos. Let's take a closer look at each of the discs. Here is Laserbeak, so he's your pack-in freebie, as it were. And once you drop it on a table and watch him turn into a bird, you will see why. While of course they simply had to include a cassette with Soundwave himself, Laserbeak ends up being the worst out of all of them. He's just missing a lot of paint here. I mean, look, nothing on his head's painted at all. And he ends up looking really bland compared to the rest of them, and especially one in particular, which I will get to later. The purple and gold one is Ratbat, who is essentially just a really heavy remould of Laserbeak. He's got a little bat head, little bat eyes, and big bat ears, and he's got sort of slightly more rounded looking wings, and they've given him little bat feet and the bat tail and all the sort of wingy, leathery stuff in between. And he doesn't really look bad. One gripe I suppose I'd have about him is his head is really, really small and just does look a little bit odd. But thanks to the HD, you should be able to make out he's got a Decepticon symbol on his head. Usually that's really hard to see because it's, of course, purple on purple. I think he looks good, and I've always liked Ratbat as a cassette bot. Just a shame that this guy is a little disappointing because, of course, he hasn't got any articulation. Yeah, the wings flap. They were on Laserbeak, but you can't stand him up or anything. There's like nothing on his underside, and the feet are just sort of moulded in bits on this panel. And it just does feel like, yeah, there's something missing here, and there is definitely something that could be done to make him a bit better, but I guess it's okay for what he is. Next we have Rumble and Frenzy. They are just, you know, red and blue versions of each other, but the Datadisc stuff on the front there is still different by the look of it. So here is your basic humanoid Datadisc bloke. They don't completely auto-convert. You have to move their arms and you have to put these sort of hoof-like extensions out of their feet, because they're not really feet, because if you put them out all the way, they sort of lean forward loads, and to get them to stand up properly straight, you only have to put them out a little bit. So that's a bit odd. But once you've got them standing there, they don't look too bad. Their paint apps are identical. They've got these really tiny, almost nondescript faces. There is some sculpting in there, and yeah, the camera is even finding it hard to pick that up. It all becomes a bit indistinguishable in some lights. But yeah, they've got red eyes and a black bit in the middle, and Decepticon symbols on their chest, and silver midriffs, and black stripes down their legs. You see, they do actually have little fist holes here, and those are Cyberverse-sized hands. So if you want to, you can, you know, go ahead and give them Uzis and things. Quite fitting, I guess. So overall, these guys aren't really bad. You know, it's very clever the way that they make a disc turn into a humanoid shape. But their articulation is, I don't know. You can say it's there, but it's all spring-loaded. Their knees, their hips. The arms are really the only points that move and stay there. They sort of flop outwards as well. So I don't know. I think they're passable. They're okay for what they are, especially with all the spring-loaded engineering going on around them. I guess you can forgive the fact they only have 2 points of articulation. And just for the sake of rib fur, the box tells you this one is Frenzy and this one is Rumble. You know how I remember that? Rumble is this nice shade of royal blue, and Frenzy's colour doesn't begin with R, because he's Frimson. The last disc body type to roll in is Ravage. He's the black and silver one, obviously, and he sort of half flops into this cat mode. He's probably got a lot more going on with him than any of the others, and you certainly have to sort out more of his legs and stuff than the rest of them. Yeah, auto conversion, it sort of only does half of it for you. Here you have a really odd looking cat, I have to say. He is incredibly long and he's full of holes and he's really wide, and his face almost doesn't actually look like a cat. He's got painted eyes, he's got painted teeth, but where are his ears? He just ends up looking a bit like some sort of rat creature. But he's got some nice Decepticon symbols on his shoulders, I guess, there. And I think actually he ends up being the most poseable of all of these. He's got cat elbows at the front here and sort of cat shoulders. You can move them, but they both move at the same time. He's got cat hips and cat backward knees. And his tail moves as well. All in all, I think I might like Ravage the best, simply because of the fact that you've gone from a disc to a cat. Who designed this? What sort of warlock empowered man over in Takara land fathomed this out? It's insane. How do you even begin to make this? And for that respect, I have nothing but to love for this Ravage. Despite all the odd sort of gappy panels, he still does have some good detail going on, like I suppose these silver bits near his hips are like the big rockets he would normally have over there on his haunches. I don't know. There's lots of stuff that is sculpted in, and really there is no surface of this that is just flat and left alone. So in that respect, yeah. Ravage is good. He's engineered sort of cleverly, and while he does end up looking really weird, you can fix that really easily by just sort of putting his back legs back into cassette mode. Cassette? No, disc. And it makes him shorter. It gives him proper cat proportions and doesn't impede any of the articulation, but it just means his tail is really long. So you could fold it up. And he's a Manx cat or something, who knows. So they have the Decepticon Datadiscs. I think they do make a pretty good team once you got them all together. Just please make sure you don't spend $12.99 on these, especially when right now you can get all of these at B&M Bargains for $3.99 a set. That's how I got Ravage and Rumble. I think if they weren't that sort of price, I would never have bothered with these, and I guess that's good, because in a way I would never have experienced the little Ravagey cat mould here, and while I thought that he especially was going to be irredeemably rubbish, I actually do rather like him, and so that $3.99 was well spent. And I think if you do like your Soundwave, guys, you may find that money is well spent for you as well. But really don't go into double figures for these. It's just not worth it, unless you want some Autobot ones. Yes, here I have Rewind and Sunder, the only Autobot Datadisc set that I got hold of. I don't even have a blaster to cram them inside of, but I really do like these, and this singular set, I have to say, they feel so much better than the Decepticon ones back there. Either of the two Autobot sets is really hard to get hold of, so I'm really happy that I managed to go into all the cool stuff and pick up Rewind and Sunder here. Yeah, there's just something that feels really nice and polished about these compared to the others. Maybe it's all the metallic paint apps on Rewind. Maybe it's that Sunder is like a Laserbeak that, you know, shows off all the potential of that sculpt with more paint. I don't know. I just really like these. They of course come with an Autobot version of the little case, and it just looks nicer. Maybe because the Autobot symbol is in gold and it's not just red. But yes, here's Sunder. I think he's some guy out of Kiss Players. But I don't see him as that. I see this as Armada Laserbeak. Because look, he's an orange Laserbeak, he's an Autobot, but I can't call him Laserbeak because there's already a Decepticon Laserbeak, so yeah, to me this is just Armada Laserbeak. I love it. I can drink in that homage all day and enjoy all the extra paint apps that this guy has, like his yellow beak and these yellow things here and the yellow venti gun bits back here and the nice big Autobot symbol on his noggin. This is just a superior birdbot to Laserbeak, and oh, I love the way he looks. He just pops so hard, all these lovely bright colours, and all of the stuff on his disc mode is all gold against a red background, and that just looks so nice. And if you need any more reason to like Sunder, his bio describes him as a bird who enjoys dubstep. He is the dubstep duck for all time. But the real reason I wanted that set was for Rewind. Yeah, he is just a sort of heavily remoulded version of like Rumble and Frenzy. His legs are different. Are his feet different? I don't think they are. Different chests, different heads. I think there might be some slightly different detailing on his arms. But he does work exactly the same way as these guys did. But God, he looks so much better. I think it's all the black and gold. He just looks so slick. And this little perfect head sculpt, forget about it. Look at that. Oh, it's all shiny, and he's got gold eye and the red mouth plate, and oh, he just looks so good. And well, basically, if like me and you're a big fan of More Than Meets the Eye, then you're gonna appreciate the only first like new figure of Rewind since G1 a hell of a lot more than the umpteenth version of Rumble. All he needs is a little camera on the side of his head, and this would have just been perfect for me. His disc mode is super classy. Look at that. The gold and the red against the black. Oh, he looks so posh. He looks so sort of high end. He's all shiny and he just looks expensive somehow. The Fall of Cybertron Datadiscs then. To be perfectly honest, I'm rather ambivalent towards the Decepticon ones. They're not bad. They're not really great. They're sort of good, especially if you can get them cheap. But the Autobot ones, they are where it's at. They just feel so much better, but of course you're going to have to spend so much more money to get them. So, you know, if you don't have any of these guys, certainly head to your nearest B&M bargains, wherever that might be. I mean, I hadn't ever heard of that shop till about a few months ago when one opened near me, and I thought, what is this? But yeah, step inside, get yourself a Rumble, get yourself a Frenzy, and all of the good stuff that comes with them. And maybe, you know, if you don't have a Soundwave, go track one down. They're in Toys R Us now. I had to get mine from Taiwan in Christmas of 2012. But now that I have outfitted him with all the little disc guys, it just feels good. It feels like, yeah, if you're going to have Soundwave, now you might as well just go the whole hog and get all the little cassette blokes to go with him. Because why not, when they're £4 each? May I remind you that is cheaper than a Legends figure, and you're getting two of them at once. It's just, yeah, now it's a bargain. This time last year, it wouldn't have been, because they would have been the same price as a bloody deluxe, and it would have just been like, no. I can see exactly why Toys R Us didn't sell any of these, because good God, I have never seen anything so overpriced. But yeah, now they're cheap, you can enjoy them. They're certainly not the best representations of any of these cassette guys, especially now there's masterpieces of them. But they're just good, gimmicky fun, and if you're up for a few mini Fall of Cybertron guys, then go for it, because they just go so well with the rest of the line. I guess I'm sort of giving these guys a thumbs up. I'm not entirely sure. That's the mark of a good review, ain't it? I meant to make up your mind, not the other way round.